Late at night, a body appeared in the church, dressed in golden attire, with a peaceful expression, hands clasped over the heart, and a sword piercing through the palms straight to the heart. Golden wings extended from the body, resembling an angel descending from heaven. This wasn't the first time such a case had occurred. 5 years ago, a series of similar murders took place in the area. The killer was known as the artist, but 5 years ago, the police had already captured him, and he's still locked up in prison. The police suspect that this current case is the work of a copycat imitating the artist's methods. While the police hadn't found any clues yet, soon another artwork appeared. No trace of the killer was found at the scene, but the preservative used was very similar to the one the artist used 5 years ago. To solve the case quickly, the police chief planned to seek help from the artist, and Detective Mary fully supported the idea. She believed that the artist had a form of perfectionism, and they typically despise people who imitate their work, especially poorly done imitations, which could anger the artist. She decided to personally visit the artist in prison, but her colleague Jake disagreed and angrily slammed the table before leaving the office. Jake's opposition stemmed from the fact that he was the one who personally captured the artist back then. Jake claimed no one knew the artist better than he did. He revealed that the artist had killed 6 women, but in reality, there was a 7th victim. That 7th victim was Jake's former colleague Zeke, who had worked the case with him. They were chasing the artist together when their car crashed. Jake was knocked unconscious for a while. When he woke up, he saw Zeke standing next to the artist, and then, as if possessed, Zeke poured gasoline on himself and set himself on fire. Jake believed Zeke had been brainwashed by the artist, and he worried the same thing could happen to Mary. Soon after, Mary arrived at the prison to meet the artist, who seemed to have anticipated her visit. He claimed that someone with wings had told him she was coming, a cryptic remark that Mary chose to ignore, and she directly asked him about the copycat. The artist said his works were all over the internet, and the copycat could be anyone. Mary noted that the preservative formula used was a police confidential file. She suggested that someone who knew the formula might have been someone the artist once knew. The artist agreed to help, but on one condition: all his previous artworks must be moved into his prison cell. On the way back, Jake mentioned stopping at a convenience store to grab a coffee. While bored, Mary checked Jake's car trunk and found a crucifix, a bottle of psychiatric medication, and a book on religion. Suddenly, a homeless man appeared, seemingly wanting to say something, pointing repeatedly at the book in Mary's hand. Mary locked the car door and drew her gun, and the homeless man quickly left. Back at the police station, the coroner informed them that no fingerprints had been found on the body. Meanwhile, the artist, after reviewing the documents Mary gave him, seemed to have discovered something. With the help of a prison guard, he contacted Mary and asked if the coroner had cut off the victim's wings, claiming they were the most important thing for the victim's journey in the afterlife. Mary immediately rushed back to the morgue and cut open the golden wings with scissors. Inside, she found a nail polish brush. Mary instantly recognized it as a brand of nail polish that had been discontinued for years. Although a nail polish brush didn't seem like much of a lead, Mary requested permission from the chief to continue communicating with the artist, hoping to uncover more clues. Jake, however, suggested they focus on the copycat since the artist was set to be executed in just 2 weeks. After Jake left, Mary asked the chief what really happened 5 years ago when Jake captured the artist. The chief explained that Jake and Zeke were in a car crash while chasing the artist on the highway. The car caught fire. Jake survived, but Zeke died on the spot. It was as simple as that, and Jake still had burn scars on his arm. This explanation made Mary suspicious of Jake, who claimed Zeke had set himself on fire. But the chief said Zeke died in the car crash, and with the psychiatric medication in Jake's car, Mary wondered if Jake had suffered a brain injury and was experiencing hallucinations. The scene shifts to a fisherman who was about to head out to fish but discovered that the rope tying his boat had been cut. As the mist cleared nearby, a black angel suddenly appeared. In just 3 days, 3 victims had been found. The 3rd victim had a compass needle wedged under her fingernail. Jake immediately recognized it as the needle from his old colleague Zeke's antique compass. She mentioned that Zeke never went a day without carrying that compass. However, when Zeke's wife searched through his belongings after his death, she couldn't find the compass. Jake believed the needle must have come from Zeke's compass, and the nail polish cap from the previous body had hinted at the needle under this victim's nail. This needle, he thought, might be a clue to the next victim, but what exactly it pointed to remained unclear. That night, Jake lay in the bathtub, reflecting on the events of the past. If Jake's memory was correct, Zeke had indeed set himself on fire all those years ago, but what it all truly meant was still a mystery. Meanwhile, a shadowy figure appeared on the streets. The copycat was about to strike again. Elsewhere, Mary was having dinner with her boyfriend, who happened to be a devout believer. After dinner, the sound of glass shattering suddenly came from another room. Mary grabbed her gun and went to investigate. She saw that the window had been broken, evidence that someone had broken in. A shadowy figure rushed forward and grabbed her by the neck. It was the homeless man she had encountered at the rest stop earlier. Mary immediately called the police, convinced that it was the same homeless man. Her boyfriend asked, "Could this be the killer you're after?" At that moment, Jake received a call there was a fourth victim. Mary had to leave her boyfriend and join Jake to investigate the case. The camera then zoomed in on her boyfriend's face, and his expression seemed suspicious. From the look in his eyes, it seemed there was reason to doubt perhaps he was the killer. The fourth artwork was found inside a museum, but this time the wings were bright red, and the head was pierced with steel needles of various lengths. The museum's surveillance had mysteriously cut out for 5 hours, and the police had no footage of the killer. At the feet of the artwork, Mary found a compass without a needle. Jake quickly contacted the evidence room and had the needle from the previous victim brought in. As expected, the needle fit perfectly. After trembling for a moment, it pointed toward a painting by the window. In the painting, a small figure was curiously peeking outside. On the back of the painting, a phrase was written, "Hellish landscape." Even more eerie was the fact that before Zeke's death, he had sent Jake a message. The message contained an image of a rare 16th century book, and inside that book, this same phrase was mentioned. Jake admitted he had looked at the book many times but could never figure out what Zeke was trying to communicate. Jake then took Mary to a fan signing event for a priest. He told the priest that he suspected Mary might be possessed by a demon and asked if the priest could help. Mary was instantly furious and stormed out. Jake explained, "Ever since Zeke's death, I've been studying this stuff." He added, "I think you and the artist are both different from regular people. I just want to see if there's something to prove it." Mary snapped, "I'm just catching a serial killer. Stop bringing this supernatural nonsense into it. This stuff is unhealthy. If you want to learn it, do it in your free time. Don't let it interfere with me catching the killer." It seemed that Jake was becoming more suspicious. Was he losing his mind, or had he been brainwashed by some sort of cult? Soon, the copycat found his fifth target. A woman was riding a horse in the forest when she noticed something ahead. She dismounted to take a closer look and found a pigeon trapped in a snare. Out of kindness, she freed the bird. Meanwhile, the artist lay in bed, having a seizure. He seemed to sense that the copycat was committing another crime. This time, the copycat didn't display the body as an artwork but instead sent a photograph of the victim directly to the police station. The woman who was captured was none other than the local governor. It appeared the copycat was taunting the police with this act. The chief believed that there must be a connection between the artist and the copycat. How else could the artist provide such precise clues? It's possible they are using some kind of code to communicate, and the copycat might very well be the artist's disciple. Because of this, the chief decided to thoroughly inspect all of the artist's old artworks, starting by finding an excuse to get the artist out of his cell. Then they sent in a large forensics team to search through his personal belongings, but a meticulous serial killer wouldn't make it easy for the police to find any clues. Unsurprisingly, after searching the cell, they found nothing and only succeeded in angering the artist. The artist said, "Mary, you know I wanted to help you, not them. Now, you've tricked me into letting them go through all my things. How do you expect me to trust you in the future?" It was clear that the artist seemed to have a certain fondness for Mary. After Mary begged, the artist agreed to give another clue. He said the copycat was an expert in forging Renaissance paintings and precisely gave the location of a shop where the forgeries could be found. Soon, Mary and Jake arrived at the shop, and sure enough, inside was the painting the artist had mentioned. Jake immediately took the painting, ready to bring it back to the station, but as soon as they stepped outside, the homeless man appeared again. This time, he had a gun and attacked Mary, leading to a chase. Mary quickly cornered the homeless man, who told her, "I gave you a chance," before turning and jumping to his death. His sudden, strange behavior left everyone baffled. What exactly was his connection to the case? Soon, they discovered that the homeless man used to work as a nurse at the mental institution where the artist was held. A year ago, he had been fired for stealing medication from the institution. The chief suspected the homeless man had been assisting the copycat. Meanwhile, forensics found a woman's fingerprint on the painting, and it just so happened that this woman had previously filed a report at the police station. The team quickly arrived at the woman's residence, but strangely, it seemed like no one had lived there for years. Even more bizarre was what they found inside a dust-covered artwork. Upon investigation, they discovered this had been the artist's childhood home. The artwork inside was actually a sculpture of his mother. It turned out that as a child, the artist had been obsessed with mythological paintings, but his mother despised them and would tear them up whenever she saw them. During one argument, his mother accidentally pushed young the artist, causing him to suffer a brain injury that left a clot in his head. The artist would experience seizures occasionally, but after some time, he would recover. This had been the case for decades. At this point, the police had no interest in playing any more games with the artist. They decided to wire Mary and send her in to negotiate. Hoping to get the copycat's exact location, the artist seemed to know their intentions, and he offered to tell Mary where the copycat was hiding, but there was a condition: Mary had to spend 10 minutes talking with him. During that time, the artist wanted to sculpt a statue of Mary. As he worked, he teased Mary, asking, "Haven't you ever suspected the people around you? Like, your devout boyfriend?" His words sent chills down Mary's spine, but she calmly responded that the two of them were in love. The artist pressed, "Really? Do you think he truly loves you?" The questioning made Mary uneasy, and she began to cry, perhaps because she had doubts. Her boyfriend had indeed been acting strange lately. He had been sitting up late at night, praying with a crucifix in hand instead of sleeping. After toying with Mary's emotions, the artist finally revealed the copycat's location. The team, listening through the wire, immediately left for the address. Only Jake remained, quietly waiting for Mary to come out. The artist handed Mary the sculpture he had completed as she left. Mary and Jake then set out to find the copycat, but along the way, they received a call from the team. It was the wrong address. The house belonged to an innocent elderly couple. Mary suddenly had a realization. She frantically smashed open the statue in her hands. Sure enough, hidden inside was a slip of paper with the real address. Jake immediately turned the car around, and they soon arrived at an abandoned house. What they found inside shocked them. Photos of Mary covered the walls. It became clear that Mary was the killer's ultimate target. Jake left Mary at the scene and went outside to call for backup. Meanwhile, Mary heard noises coming from below and hurriedly pulled open the floorboards. As expected, the governor was trapped underneath. Just as Mary was about to free her, a shadowy figure passed by. Mary gave chase, but to her shock, the person she confronted was Jake. Jake seemed like a different person, and he chillingly said, "I am Jake, but also not Jake. The killer is in my mind. No prison can hold someone whose mind is free." At that moment, the artist was lying in his bed, trembling while holding a sketch of Jake. It turned out that after the artist's injury, he had developed a strange ability. He could fully control someone's mind by imagining their appearance. Jake was now the artist's puppet, and he pointed his gun at Mary. Mary had no choice but to shoot Jake. Jake woke up in a daze, not knowing what had happened. Mary had to break the news to him. "Jake, you have schizophrenia. You're the copycat killer." The case seemed to be closed, with everyone, including the police, believing that Jake was suffering from mental illness. In truth, the artist could turn anyone into his puppet whenever he wanted. The strange boyfriend, the deranged homeless man, and Detective Jake, they could all have been the copycat. After Jake's funeral, the artist took control of the prison psychiatrist and approached Mary. With a smug grin, he told her, "The game continues, and you're next." But what he didn't know was that Mary had a trick up her sleeve. Mary said, "You seem to have forgotten one bad habit of yours. I know you like to chew on the ends of pencils. I took the liquid you used to poison the victims. By now, the poison should be working on you." As she finished speaking, the artist began to gasp for breath and collapsed shortly after. And with that, the story came to an end.